Hello everyone, welcome to another video for Numot Gaming. I am Keith Watabayashi here with video 7 of the 10 for 10 series. I'm sorry this didn't get done in 1 month to kind of get a record, but I don't know if any of you play Magic, which I kind of sideways talk about a lot here, but a new set came out, lots of bannings. I had a PPTQ that was on the first day that Amonkhet was legal, so I was playing that and it was a lot of fun. That's only relevant for people who actually play Magic and care. But anyway, I was focused on Magic. End of story. You know, it's just so little time, so many games. But let's get back to it. So today we're going to play our Elysian ramp deck as we make our way through the gauntlet. This is an old school deck. I've been playing a deck like this on and off for pretty much since closed beta, since I started playing, since I first picked up 4 copies of Sandstorm Titan. So this is not a new archetype or anything like that. It's a little out of fashion right now. You see Elysian decks being a little bigger and a little more controlling. You know, you're not seeing Initiate of the Sands, Sauropod Wrangler as much as you are, you know, Thunderstrike Dragons, full copies of Xeon Obelisk. I'm only playing 3. So this deck is more of an aggressive ramp deck with 4 copies of Carnosaur at the top out. I think this card is great. I think this card is underrated. It's a 2-for-1 almost every time. It's good against everything, so I love it. I'm not saying it's necessarily better than Thunderstrike Dragon, because Thunderstrike Dragon is literally a 2-for-1. You get 2 big flyers for 1 card, but in Elysian, your time is a little bit more powerful than your primal. I mean, as you can see just with this deck alone, the split of time in primal is 37 to 20, and that's pretty standard. I mean, you're going to see like Titans and Obelisk, you know, maybe Wranglers, maybe Wisp, and you know, Acolyte of Acolytes, and those are all time cards. So I like the fact that Carnosaur rewards you for being heavy on time, as opposed to Dragon, which rewards you for being heavy on primal. So that's why I like the Carnosaur over the Dragon. Not to mention, if your opponent plays a Dragon and you play a Carnosaur, Carnosaur wins that fight, because you can instantly kill her and get rid of it. So anyway, this is why I like to build my Elysian deck. Let's take it for a spin, see how we do. It's a new month, so we're going to be a little bit low on the rankings, but I was low on the rankings in general last month. I was kind of having a good time with Magic and other stuff in my life, and I didn't grind too hard, so here we are. This hand's fine. It's not great. It's a little slow. It's a little light on action. But we have our colors. We have false prince colors, which matters. When you have a hand with 3 sigils, 3 powers, you want to be looking for double time and at least 1 primal, so you can play a false prince on 3. This hand does that. And we have some search, we have some interaction, and we have a ramp. And we have a ramp payoff. So even though this hand is light on power plays, we only have 1 high attack or, you know, high impact unit. We have a lot of other stuff going on that's very valuable. So we are going to keep it. So the other unit to keep in mind when you're looking at your power early game is Surso. Surso requires 2 of each. Luckily, we have perfect mana here, so I don't have to worry about that too much. So I guess we will just get another time. It doesn't really matter at this point since we have 3 and 3, which is what you want. The reason for getting time here is that if like for example here, I want to play this on 2. I don't want this to be depleted. So this way, if I get delayed, like if this dies and I get delayed in playing this, I at least have the extra time to get a false prince out or something out. So again, it's not really going to matter given this hand and how this hand's light on really aggressive units. So I think I'll have time no matter what. A little too much time. We're starting to flood, which is kind of a bummer. I really hate flooding more than anything else, I think, in card games. And I wish this game had a little more ways to deal with that. Permafrost. I'm not even going to try to fight with that. Ooh, that's a good play. No Haunting Scream, bro. No, that's going to be really tough. Well, we tried it. Still, our deck is full of giant dudes, so I'm not too worried about it. We're going to play the Titan. I doubt this lives, and this is a problem with this deck, and I think a general problem with mid-range strategies in general, one of the weaknesses of it, is if you get a hand like this, where you're light on your um, impactful units, you're really at the mercy of getting one for one by your opponent. Well, luckily that was a very good draw. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit here. Let's do that. Let's just get rid of one of these. Ooh, maybe not. So opponent F3 annihilates? Oh, that card is so good against us. Well, even if we drew action, 3 annihilates is pretty good. Pretty good. But you can see how important it was to not have the Beast Caller go off, because our opponent had literally nothing but that, and it's going to prove to be enough here. Because we were, again, a little light on action, and our opponent had exactly what they needed. So, just a really good draw from our opponent. Not a whole lot to really say about it. Bummer. Well, not the best start. But whatever. Let's keep going. Don't think there was much we could have done there. I mean, our opponent had all the answers they needed. So we had Permafrost, and they had the exact combination of cards to counter that. And then on top of that, they had 3 Annihilates, which is the best removal spell against anything that uses time. I mean, kind of the best removal spell, I think, in general, but especially against time, because your guys are so big, but they're also on, they're only one faction. This hand's fine. I'd like a little more ramp in this. This hand could get into problems just like our last game. So again, if we come across an opponent with lots of removal, as you can see, we don't have card draw, we don't have early game. It could end bad, or we just run out of steam. But if they don't have the necessary removal, or if they have an awkward draw, this hand will just absolutely run over them. I guess that is sort of a thing with this kind of Elysian deck, is it's high risk, high reward a little bit, you know? Feast or famine. But who doesn't like playing big dudes? Ooh, Obelisk. Well, now this hand's really good. Man, I'm looking forward when the new cards come out, whenever that is. As much as I do love playing with the exact same cards I was playing with almost a year ago, I wouldn't mind some new ones. What is going on with our opponent here? Is it that much of a difficult choice? Wow, they got a lot of stuff going on in their hand. It's not good. That's not good. Well, this was a really good draw, because now we can just run out our threats, and if they're not good enough, we'll just refill our hand. Like, the thing with that is, when you have a hand, or you have a deck that has really high value threats, like this deck does in this hand, I tend to think it's better to just run them out and force your opponent to have the answer. And if they do have the answer, that means they're constantly answering your threats and not being proactive. So that means if they dump their resources to deal with your board, then you still have a decent life total, and then something like Wisdom can just refill your threats. And then on the other flip side on the flip side of that, if they don't have the answer and your threats are being really proactive, and you're kind of racing with your opponent, trading with your opponent, that's a very odd attack. I'm going to assume our opponent quarried and got either a torch or a Vara's Favor. I think we have to block, because if they have the torch, they're going to play it anyway. So we might as well not take 3 damage. We might as well block. Yeah, that's fine. Because I don't imagine they wouldn't do that. Like, they wouldn't just play the torch after the attack. But not taking the 3 damage from this is relevant. So anyway, like I was saying, if your threats aren't being answered and you're racing, you're kind of fighting, then Wisdom can help you just draw into more threats or answers to break whatever might be happening on the board. So generally, instead of doing something like trying to get tricky with dropping Obelisk, then dropping a guy, or Wisdom, and then seeing how your card draw goes, better just to run out your threats and make your opponent have it. That's fine. play Obelisk? Or do I want to draw? That's a good question. Let's see. Our opponent is stuck on mana, so the best they can do is play a 4-drop next turn, which might be like Impending Doom, which means I probably want to permafrost it. Yeah, I think we'll run out the Obelisk, and we'll play this. And this way, if our opponent does play a threat, we can go permafrost Wisdom into hopefully a power card, so we can get the Connoisseur down. If our opponent does nothing, we can just play Wisdom and draw. Either way, we'll play Wisdom next turn. It's just a matter of if we want to hold the Obelisk for when we actually have units down for more kind of immediate impact. Is there anything I could draw? Yeah, I guess I could draw a Friendly Wisp, or I could draw a Sauropod Wrangler. Okay. I guess we have things we can do with our mana. Odds are both of these are going to be depleted next turn. I guess we'll play this one. I don't really expect this to live, so it's not like we should play this now because we'll be able to play this undepleted. And this has a greater chance of being not depleted just by drawing a power card, as opposed to the banner, which would be depleted no matter what. So now we just need to keep drawing business. I just don't want to draw any more sigils, and we'll be good. Our opponent is really taking their time with their decisions. I mean, that said, Stone Scar can be pretty complicated. Your cards do a lot of things, a lot of different things. It's a good draw. There's just no reason to play the Connoisseur without a target. Better to try to get some value for this if you don't have to play it, and we don't. This is one of the most powerful cards in our deck, so getting the full value for it is very important, especially when we're low on cards. If we had nothing else to play, then of course we'd play just to have a threat, but I don't think we're that far behind where we have to just run out our highest cost creature every turn. Our opponent must have some kind of high-cost unit and some kind of removal spell, and they're debating between removing or playing something. It's the only thing I can think of. Either that or their hand's just utterly unplayable, but that seems unlikely. Countess. That's kind of interesting. Sure, let's get in there. And now we could draw another Obelisk for lethal if our opponent has nothing. And I mean, nothing is in removal spells, because if they only play one unit, we'll just permafrost and bash them. Vara's Favor. This card is so good. I love Vara's Favor. I think it's a very elegant design for what it does. Our opponent has all the shadow sigils they could want. Well, that would be good, but it is not, sir. Yay, 1-1. Ooh, we're on a time spree. Where's my Cerso? One of my big motivations for playing this deck is how much I love Cerso. Also, I mean, the curve is so strong. If you actually can go False Prince into Sandstorm Titan into Cerso, I don't know how any deck really beats that. Hey, there he is. So we are going first. This hand is not keepable. Sometimes you can keep a one power hand with this deck, but that's pretty rare. This hand will be awesome if these both live. If they don't live, this hand is very awkward. And we're playing against Rakano, so I am not optimistic. But at least we have perfect mana. I like that. Anyway, back to a previous point I was making. I wish there were more like mana sinks in this game, like the way Magic has manlands and other things like that, because man, Flood is just so devastating. And with a 75 card deck, it's just so frustrating when you just keep drawing power cards, and especially if your opponent's just drawing. Like, Flood in this game is bad, period, because either you're both flooding, so you're both playing draw go, where nothing is happening, or one person is completely destroying the other person. Like, basically, either, you know, one person is playing the game and one person's not, and I just hate it. More mana sinks would be good. I hope we see some of those in future cards. You know, kind of like the monuments, but even a little bit better, if that makes sense. Well, they both lived, so this hand got pretty decent. Yeah, we are killing this. I am not down with any Warcry. Well, here we are. All we gotta do now is just draw business. Oh, vanquish. But we cannot do it. You know, we only have 26 power cards in this deck, which is 1 over the minimum, and we have 4 Seek powers. Maybe you should go to 25 since we're ramping? I don't know, though. Problem with going 25 is if you don't draw your ramp cards, you can't play anything, because this deck all has, you know, 4s, 5s, and 6s. I mean, it wins the games with 4, 5s, and 6s, mostly 5s and 6s. Cersos, Hatchlings, Terriarchs, and Predatory Carnosaurs. Sandstorm Titan by itself doesn't win the game as much as it used to. That card used to just win the game, but now there's more, you know, more competitive units, more answers, and, you know, better patterns of play that make it so that one giant 4-unit, cost 4 unit is not going to win the game. At least one giant 4-cost unit without Overwhelm is not going to win the game. Maybe our opponent's just as flooded. This card's great too. Another really well-designed card. Oh no, is this going to be an anticlimactic? Yeah, it looks like it might. Oh well. I'm still going to count it because all's fair when it comes to wins on the ladder. Oh man, but I don't really want to just sit here. This is not an entertaining video if this is what's happening. Well, for science, we'll keep going and see how our draws play out. I mean, it's possible that we draw a couple more power cards in a row, and then I'll really be motivated to go down to 25 power. But if we draw a couple more business cards, then it's like, all right, well, maybe we're okay on the ratios. What is going on here? And that rope needs to go faster. I need you to make a play here, Protean. Get in there. All right, see. All right. After a little bit of flooding, we've drawn some action, drawn some business. Hang out with me for a couple more turns, guys. I wonder how good this card is right now. I don't know. I mean, this thing was pretty bomb back in the day. I still think it's one of the best threats available. I mean, it's an ambush 5-power flyer. I mean, that's just absurd, right? well, free win, free win. But our drop panned out okay, so panned out okay. Excuse me. Let's get to that silver or bronze 2 or whatever it is. Oh, silver 3. Is that how it goes? Yeah, 3, 2, 1. I'm so used to draft where it's just like one color all the time. I gotta tell you, I'm not motivated to draft very much these days. I am really waiting for more cards. I mean, draft is fun just as a game mode, but the play patterns in the decks have become very similar. And now I try to do wacky things and just get demolished. One of my last drafts of last month, I went mono justice, and the deck was good. I mean, I had like a 4th tree elder, like a Valkyrie enforcer, a couple finest hours, bright mace paladin. The deck was great, but it's just not going to cut it. Even though it was good. This is one of those hands. Similar to the first game, a hand that looks good and is totally keepable and playable, but is very vulnerable to removal and could run out of steam very quickly. You know, those 2 and 5s. That being said, the mana is perfect, and this is our best turn 3 play, so we are going to keep it. But I would like to draw some Wisps, Xenon Obelisk, a 4-drop, you know, something to do on 4, basically. It's not bad, not bad. Okay, more action is good. And this is our best unit in the deck. Probably, anyway. So now we're looking for anything to play on turn 4 to keep advancing our board. False Prince is one of those things where if your opponent doesn't have the answer, you feel great. And if they do like Vara's favor, you feel terrible. I can live with a Permafrost. I can live with that guy eating a Permafrost. Well, that's not a bad draw. Another 5 is fine, since we can just start running out 5 drops and see what our opponent has. But I would have preferred something to do that turn. Interesting, I guess. Yeah, we'll just play Surso. Surso's just so good. And if we get to 6 mana, it'd be nice to be able to Permafrost something and leave this up. Aww. Surso became a pig. That's fine. I am going to Permafrost this. It's very possible that it gets like a Falchion or something else that increases its stats or the clock. I just don't want to deal with it right now. Interesting. Is this like the unblockable deck from our opponent? It's kind of a cool idea. Oh my god. Nothing but dinosaurs today. Opponent's got 4 cards. I'm going to hold this back now. If this is their strategy, there might be other bigger units to target, or they might have like some kind of big defensive unit that I want to worry about. So our opponent's got some kind of fast spell. I assume it might be like a rapid shot? Ooh. They might be coming at me with beast callers. With, yeah, okay. Like beast caller amulets or other effects. That would be really bad to let go through, so. Maybe we should have permafrosted that first. Might be a problem. That does dramatically reduce our clock by a whole turn, which is kind of a big deal. I'm going to hold this. I want to hold this for a flyer, so I can still get through. I mean, it's a 2-turn lethal. Sure. Let's see what they got. No lifesteal. No lifesteal. Okay, that's fine. I can live with that. Good game, bro. Good game. You are a worthy foe. Hunter's still good. Yay, we finished our quest. Get that gold, son. Man, this Dire Wolf just loves giving out the gold. I appreciate that. I just want to have one of these games where you curve out perfectly and you just crush your opponent. Like, without even trying, where it's just False Prince, Titan, Cerso, GG. Although drawing 3 Tyrax Hunters is pretty good too. It's 15 in the air. Let's see. Almost a hand. If this was like a regular sigil, I actually might try to keep this, but we're a little far away from everything. Haven't seen these guys in a while. Pretty amazing what a big difference between 5 and 6. And it is a big difference. I remember I played Stone Scar mid-range a lot. Let me see. I don't think I have anything to do next turn. I'm just gonna get rid of it. You're gonna torch my guy? But I used to play a lot of Stone Scar mid-range, and Power Knight was such a huge part of that. But costing 6 instead of 5, it was just not good anymore. Okay, now we need to draw some of those power cards we kept drawing our last games. So we need to draw Primal into like a couple of time, and that'll be fine. Oni Ronin, eh? No, that's not a good draw. Uh-oh. Well, if we can survive long enough to draw mana, our hand's pretty stacked. But that's going to be difficult against Stone Scar. I do like the Permafrost and Impending Doom, though. That usually makes me pretty happy. There, now we have a clock. 24 turn clock. No problem. Bummer. Just need to draw some mana. Now we need to draw a lot of mana, though. Kind of wanted her to live. Well, that's a start. That is a start. I'll be really sad if I draw another Primal Sigil and I can't play my Titan next turn, but at least this way I for sure have some playable cards next turn. But yeah, it looks like we're probably not going to get there, if I had to guess. Oh, man. Hard to win when you can't play your cards. And we are dead. Oh well. Sometimes you just get choked. Too bad too, because our opponent didn't have a lot of removal. Like they had the torch, but if we were able to play those Titans, those Sandstorm Titans, they would not have died like at all. I mean, with the permafrost, I think I like our chances of that game if we draw mana. This hand's good. This hand has really good on the play. We can get this out early into a wisp, into one of our fives. So I'm pretty happy about that. Perfect mana again. Play this. Ooh, Champion of Glory. Don't see that guy too much these days. Do I think I can sneak in for 2 damage? Nah, probably not. We're going to try. Does the Wisp live? Oh, maybe. Maybe. Don't have a torch, bro. You don't want to play a torch. Go ahead. Yay, he lives. He lives. Let's get that Cerso down and draw some cards. You gotta love it. Take 1. Cerso, you are so good. Until that happens. Still good, though. I don't care. Still 8 of Vanquish. And this deck has no shortage of Vanquish targets, so... Well, if our opponent has a Finest Hour, I'm going to be sad. Oh well. Still not bad. We got plenty more where that came from. Plenty more where that came from. And we got plenty more action to go, so... We can either draw and set up, we can get our Teriax down and start attacking, which is what I would like to do. Okie dokie. I think we'll probably just play this, and we'll maybe double block with these and see what happens. Let's filter our deck, get rid of some of this, and say go. We don't need this guy anymore since we have all the mana in the world. Sure. No problem. Okay, now we need to draw something. That's not something. That's kind of something. See if he wants to trade. Okay, we're getting a little flooded here. Getting a little flooded, even though we've drawn a decent amount of cards. I guess the Titan would be really good. Oh my god, dude. Why are our opponents drawing nothing but removal? We can outfight any unit, but 4 removal spells is pretty good. Ugh, gross. Well, that's very disappointing. Flood. Nothing but flood. Bummer. Oh well. I mean, again, as I've said before, I mean, if you run into a bunch of answers, you can run out of steam because we are a mid-range power unit deck. So that's exactly how that can happen. Another good hand. Keep this one too. And the theory is that over time, like in a tournament, I wouldn't play this deck because of how vulnerable you are to removal. But on the ladder, when it's just a numbers game, over time, you're going to run into more opponents who don't have the answers than do have the answers. So even though it can feel frustrating for 2 or 3 games where you can't seem to get a foothold because your opponents just keep running out the removal, it's not a we will play False Prince. It's not a bad idea to play a deck that, as they say, asks a lot of questions, and this deck asks a lot of questions. What do I think here? And we're going to make the greedy play. But you have to make greedy plays with this deck. If we try to hold back and play around something like Lightning Storm, then we're not putting enough pressure on our opponent. And again, this deck is all about asking questions, putting high-value threats onto the board. And we get a little rewarded here. So the question now is if we think we're going to draw mana to play a Permafrost on this. Maybe, but the point is I want to get value out of my low drops while I can. Oh, we did not. We will say go. Because our Wisp does indeed block this Reaper, and I'm happy to do that. Really want some more mana. Although just playing another Surso seems good too. But no, I think Permafrosting and drawing is pretty good here. Like we can Permafrost and attack with our 2 big guys, and see and then we can play Wisdom and try to get our Carnosaurs out and run these guys out. So that's what we're gonna do. Our opponent can kill Surso, but then we get a 3-for-1, which I'm pretty happy about. Sure, that's fine. There may have been an argument to play the Wisdom before in case I draw another Permafrost, or in case I draw the mana so I could play a second Permafrost, but really, there's nothing on this board I want to Permafrost. Like, I can deal with all of these pretty easily. Oh, that's not very nice. Maybe I spoke too soon. But our opponent does have 1 card in hand, and our hand is absurdly good, so not too worried about that. Yes, and you think that that's good, but it's not. Let me see. We'll just attack with both of these. With all of these, this should be lethal. If our opponent blocks here, I guess they can block here and take 6 and go to 1. So we will play this. And this should be lethal. So they have to block Surso, but Surso has Overwhelm. Oh, I was off by 1. Oh well. Yep, you got it, man. You are a worthy foe. Climbing up, so that guy was worth a lot of points. Nice. Boom. This is a good example of just why a deck like this can be good for the ladder. Because, you can see, this deck doesn't force you to make incredibly complex decisions or complex plays. It's very simple. You just try to throw out really high-value threats as quickly as you can and see if it's good enough. And more often than not, it will be. And so out of a 10-game record, you could reasonably expect, a 6-4 or 7-3. I mean, this deck isn't cheap to put together. It does use 8 legendaries and a bunch of rares. And Surso is pretty limited in what decks he can go in because he's a really high high-powered threat, but a very kind of narrow threat in that, he doesn't fly, doesn't protect himself from removal, has a lot of big power requirements. So this deck does require some. Ooh, that's pretty good. This deck does require some investment. I need to draw a Sandstorm Titan. That's what I need. Well, the race is on, but it's going to be tough. Ooh, Conduit. Conduit's pretty good. That's a lot of damage, man. You need to draw a Titan. Or we can just hold this back and kill you. 3, 6, 7. Nah, let's draw cards, put some blockers down. Okay, that's a good draw. We'll attack. Oh, that's bad. 5, 8, 9, what's this? 5, 10, 11, 12. So what's this? 5, 8, 9. We go to 2. I don't know if we can beat that. No, I think we are short, unfortunately. We just took too much damage from this. Yeah, because the plan was to block and then play this and block this, and that blunts the entire offense. But now we cannot do that. Wow, been a while since I lost to an owl. Well, we're gonna go for the moral victory. Boom! Take that. We have the better time units, even though we're dead. Oh well. I suppose we should have left up our hunter that turn. It didn't seem like we were under that much pressure. Sure. But I guess we were. Because we could have played the hunter and killed the copper conduit, and then we would have taken 3, 6, 7. Still pretty low. I don't know. I think it still would have been pretty tough. I don't know. Let's see here. I am going to just draw power cards. I want to make sure that we hit our cards. Because we can take a hit from a Ronin here. Again, the issue is if we survive long enough. Well, maybe we do. Well, our opponent didn't have any removal last turn, so I'm going to assume they don't have any this turn. And if we can start running out Carnosaurs, that's got to be good enough. But which one is he going to go for? Doesn't want me to draw cards. Probably the smart choice. But alas, why don't you die? Get in there, false prince. See, sometimes they don't have it. Although it's too bad we didn't draw any cards. It's slightly annoying. But we do have what we need. Yeah, we'll get rid of the big guy. Our opponent can chump block, so this kind of slows our damage down, or not. When they don't have the Vanquish, your cards are awesome. That's worth a lot too. All right, let's see if we can finish 6 and 4, get a positive record here. I haven't drawn Sandstorm Titan in like forever. Not that it really mattered. Although it would have mattered against that random Justice Flyers deck. That was pretty funky. Sure. Let's go get that time. Let's see. This is interesting. I guess I'll play the Wisp as a chump blocker, and then next turn I can Wisdom. Yeah, I guess that's fine. I have nothing to really pay this off with anytime soon, so as a 1/1 blocker, that's valuable enough. Or just if it eats a removal spell. That's a little bit punishing, but really was nothing we could do about that. No, I'm still going to do this. And the thing here is that if we hold this back to try to draw 2 cards and you know, we don't draw anything, it's kind of terrible. So we need to save our life, protect our life total a little bit here since our hand's a little slow. All right, sure. I will make that trade. And we don't lose much by losing the card draw because we have the Wisdom here. And again, the more you protect your life total, the more top decks you see, which is kind of like having extra card draw. Kind of want to play this to make sure that we can hit our land next turn. But I wouldn't mind having a blocker down. I'm definitely going to play the Wisdom. It's just a matter of if I play it now or later. I guess I'll play it now, see what we draw. Okay, we didn't draw any power cards, so we will play this. We're not in too bad a shape. Our life total is decently high, and we're not like overly flooded or choked or anything. It's just going to be a matter of how quickly are we going to draw our threats, and how quickly are we going to die to our opponent's threats. Would love to draw a Permafrost. Can't really block this, but I could block him. So let's do this. This is going to kill us really fast. 2, 3. No, I guess we'll play this, and we'll intend to block the Ronin. Take 10, go to 7. Let's see what we draw. That's pretty risky. This hand was a little bit too dirtily. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Need a Permafrost. Xenon Obelisk is not going to do it. Ugh, now we draw the Titan? Really? Oh well. 5 and 5. At least we made it to silver rank, I suppose. So quick, I mean, the games go quick. You know, this deck doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have much versatility in how it plays. It either does its thing or it doesn't. And 5 and 5 is about what I would expect with this deck. Draws go a couple other ways. You can get to 6 and 4, 7 and 3. I recommend this deck for anyone who wants a straightforward, kind of simple play pattern, powerful deck because, as you saw in the games we won, your units are so powerful and can do so much. But the weakness, of course, is that if your opponent has good answers, or they can get a little more flexible in how they use their mana, and you have to just kind of play one big guy a turn, that's where you can fall behind. So overall, I do like this deck. I'm probably not going to play too much more of it going forward, just because, again, it's a little straightforward. It's a little too obvious for me, but it is fun to just drop big guys and see what happens. Like, I'm going to play a huge 4-drop, play a huge 5-drop, see if you can beat it. Sometimes it's nice to just get back to basics, and this deck is very much that. It's very much just a powerful, straightforward, mid-range deck. So that was it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. What are we on here? I think we need to still do Armory, Devotion, and Recano. So it'll be these 3 left. Not sure what order I'm going to do it in. Armory is a little boring as well, but you can do some cool things with it. And I like my Recano decks. Maybe I'll play that one next, and I might do this one last just because it's a pretty interesting deck. It does weird things, and it always feels like it's losing, and somehow it wins. So anyway, thanks everyone for stopping by, and I will see you next time. Please stop by Numot Gaming for all your Eternal and Magic the Gathering content. They do great stuff. We do great stuff. So I'll see you on the lab.